Mike O'Mara, Radio Entertainment. You can listen to The Mike O'Mara Show at MikeO'MaraShow.com.
Let's get started.
It's The Mike O'Mara Show with Mike O'Mara, Oscar Santana, and Robb Spiewak. Now, here's Mike.
Welcome to the Mike O'Mara Show. We're enjoying our second decade of the show that has become a daily routine for thousands of listeners in great places like Hinesville, Georgia, Catoosa, Oklahoma, Saginaw, Michigan, Willsboro, New York, Harley, Georgia, and Gourmet, Turkey. Wow, that's an eclectic mix.
It is.
All over the world. We talked about having this gentleman on, and we're very excited to have him on. This is a fascinating story. We start the show today with a guest, a man who's written a book called Dear Joey, Letters from Prison, Book 1. This man's name is Mike DiVicino, and he was known as Hollywood Mike back in the day. We'll get to that, how he got that nickname. He is an old friend of Leah Remini's, and he's written a book about, oh my God, he's upside down. He's upside down. Now he's right side. No, he's upside down. There he is.
There he is.
We got you.
Fantastic.
We got you.
He's written a book about prison life. Mike was released 2 years ago after nearly 30 years in prison. 30 years in prison. I could stop right there, but there's a lot more to this story, and we'll get into it as much as we can. His case involved the Las Vegas Mafia, a high-speed chase in a black Ferrari through Hollywood, and what many believe was an unfair sentence that didn't fit the crime. It was 6 years, and then suddenly, boom, it was a life sentence. It was strange. I want to ask him right out of the gate about that. Hollywood Mike moved to Los Angeles from Vegas in the early 80s and was a bouncer at the Palace nightclub and the Rainbow Room in Hollywood. That's where he met Leah Remini, who was prominently featured on the old Don and Mike show back in the day, and of course was from King of Queens, and you probably know her most recently from her Scientology crusade that she's been on, which is just fascinating what's going on with that. Mike also knew her sister Nicole, who I've had the pleasure of meeting, Nicole Remini. He started dating Nicole and became like part of the family. In 1990, when Michael was sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences, I just want to find out what that feels like. For crimes he committed, Leah and many others believed the overly harsh punishment did not fit the crimes and took up his cause. While inside, he made it his mission to educate himself and help the younger inmate population and at-risk youth escape the same fate. Mike, it's great to have you on the show, and how are you, my friend?
Thank you, and great to be here. I'm doing fantastic.
That's good. It's I have so many questions for you about the book, which is, really just jarring when you share these letters from other inmates. But let's start out. And by the way, the book is called Dear Joey. I want to mention that again. Letters from Prison, Book 1. The book is a collection of letters that from guys that are inside doing some very, very serious time. But I'd like to talk about you first, Mike, because the idea of 30 years of your life. I mean, you were not a saint, you were not an angel, but that for anybody, it's just stunning. It's just such a terror for me personally to think about being inside on any level, being even in a county jail. It would just be terrifying. But to go and do hard time, I think Folsom, you were in Folsom for a good chunk of your stretch, right?
That's correct. Yeah, there was New Folsom maximum security in Northern California amongst many of the other high security prisons there in California.
Now, you're the one thing that with all the stuff I've read about you, you obviously were involved with organized crime in the Los Angeles area. I'll get to your sentence and the charges against you and what happened, but let's start with something maybe a little lighter. I hope it is. Mm-hmm. How did you get the name? Outside of just being in L.A., how did you get the name Hollywood Mike?
I think that moniker came with the allegations, my ties to Italian organized crime, the fact that I was going back and forth between the East Coast, ultimately landing in LA where I opened a tanning salon there, guys. And it was for all the wrong reasons at that time. And because I landed there in LA, opened the tanning salon in Hollywood. It's a funny thing with the grease balls with fellow Italians that you get these crazy monikers, Jimmy the Hair, Tommy the Chin, and you got me. I opened a salon there in Hollywood, and next thing I know, some of the other bent noses around the country are calling me Hollywood Mike.
Yo, like, Hollywood. Okay. Hey, Hollywood's here. Hollywood's here. That's a name, though. That name, man. Wow, it's amazing.
And if I could go just a little further, because you have me laughing at myself about it. And my salon, actually, funny enough, was right on the corner of Hollywood Boulevard and La Brea. So go figure. Hollywood Mike.
You don't get any more LA than that. That's
it's a good location.
Sure.
Yeah,
in that part of the world. So I want to get to your story quickly, and then we can move right on to the letters. And you're involved. I think you make it really clear that you took wrong turns as a child. You took wrong turns as a young adult. Yes. You put yourself into this situation. I'd like to ask you about the actual chase with the Ferrari, and what got you, outside of being associated with the wrong people, what got you specifically incarcerated, the big incarceration, which was the 6-year stretch, I believe. What got you in prison first? What did you do? What was your crime?
So the 6-year bit that I took in 1990, I ended up doing something that I was completely against, which I actually didn't even know it now that I think of it, was drugs. I was asked by some fellow paisans of mine to drive a car, which turns out that day to be a black Ferrari, to deliver a car, which I thought was being delivered for some of my guys, high-end vehicle. As we've alluded to, it was a black Ferrari, take it from point A to point B. And unbeknownst to me at the time, there was a hidden compartment, which I found this out later on throughout trial and proceedings. There was a hidden compartment in the Ferrari that contained, I think it was 3 kilograms of cocaine. And I've always vehemently been against drugs. That made me a hypocrite, even though I was not aware of those kilos in that car. Because I had been involved in some other doings where I bodyguarded during some high-end drug deals. That made me an absolute hypocrite. So when I went to take the Ferrari from point A to point B, the whole time, once again, unbeknownst to me at the time, it was a setup. A couple of the other Italians, one in particular that was fighting to get his own brother out of prison for a murder beef. He was going around evidently the country, and I got caught up in that to where he was wearing a wire on me. And that particular day, it was a sting operation, and I fell to that.
When did so that was the initial 6-year stretch. When did they up the ante on that one, which had to be, and tell me how you felt when that happened. It's a twofold question. When did they do that? When did you get the sentence increased, that dramatic sentence? Why? And what did you go through when you got that?
So the 6 years, I'm now sentenced. I'm in prison. I'm in a California prison. In several of the prisons throughout the country, the various systems, you get what's called halftime if you're doing what's expected of you, except not causing too much havoc inside the prisons. You get halftime. So I actually had a release date set, for, I think it was December of 1993. That's halftime. 6 years minus half, 3 years, 90 to 93. There you have it. During those 3 years, my son was conceived during what's called a conjugal visit. If you have a legal spouse, you could have intimate time alone in a sort of trailer there in the perimeters of a various compound. My first and only son was born, and at that time I would have been home in a couple of years. And while I'm earning and fighting for that release date, I started getting subpoenaed, and before long I'm back down in the LA County Jail facing a lot of racketeering charges, which ultimately got parlayed from a 1993 release date to never again getting out of prison.
Wow.
That had to be, I mean, you don't shirk your responsibility in all this, and I want to emphasize this when we're talking about it. Did the concept of changing your life occur to you after you got the heavy sentence, the life term, or did you start thinking about that while you were doing your first 3 years?
Yeah, so while I was doing that first pinch, the first Nevada pinch, I got to say, because unfortunately I'd been away. I was cycling in and out of the system from a much younger age, shamefully. That said, it was during those first 3 years that my son was conceived, and I realized I needed for my life to count for something more and to set a better example, perhaps, than maybe had been laid out for me. And I began, as you alluded to at the beginning of the show, I began educating myself, reading everything I could get my hands on. Like many inside, I was undereducated. I basically was on the street at a young age, involved in illegal activities. So undereducated, I should say. And I took self-education very seriously and began to turn my life around.
As far, yeah, go. I'll get just ask him one more question, Oscar, and then I'll turn it over to you here. The idea before we get to the book and how you decided to change your life by sharing with people these stories from inside. I don't know how to ask this, especially of a guy that's involved in a tough world anyway, because when you get in there, when you're in a maximum security prison, is there one particular rule above all else that you, for survivability, for making sure you don't get hurt or get involved in a situation that can make your situation itself worse? Is there any one single thing that, for all of our friends that might be doing a long stretch in a maximum security prison,
planning on it?
Or planning on it. What is there one hard? You get so much information of you got to fight if somebody challenges. You can't lie down. What is there anyway? I know there's a code. What's the numero uno rule in the code? And then we'll get to Oscar because I've been monopolizing the conversation here.
It's not so cut and dry because there's so many rules, as you alluded to, and it's absolutely you will join a gang when you end up crossing that threshold into prison, maximum security in particular. You will join a prison gang and you will partake of whatever violence and whatever else goes on in those places. And yes, you do not, it's called turning down a fade in there. And to me, that may be for the younger generation. I don't know. That's not something that I grew up with, as far as it's called you never turn down a fade in there. And that's more a gang culture thing. Where
and what is turning down a fade? Tell me what that is.
Yeah.
If someone steps to you, challenging you to any type, whether it's a knife fight, going from the shoulders or otherwise, 100 times out of 100, you embrace that, you engage that. And when you say what is the number one, to me, it probably would be, because I've never thought of it, forgive the long-winded answer.
That's okay.
But it was when you cross that threshold, guys, you will participate in all the gang violence and otherwise the tribalism that goes on in there, which I'm hoping in my own ways to bring some real illumination to so many different things. That being one of them.
To sum it up, don't back down, or it's going to make it hard for you. We're talking to Mike DiVicino. The book is Dear Joey, Letters from Prison, Book 1. Go ahead, Oscar.
One quick observation and 2 questions, please. And thank you for your time. One, you should know that Mike O'Mara, who's on the screen in front of you right now, did not turn down a fade outside of a Clyde's in D.C. once.
That's true.
And blew out his ACL.
That's right.
Not the best fighter. I'm curious about the idea of owning a tanning shop in a city that all you have is sun. How effective is that?
Oh, they have them in Florida too, Oscar. They have them down here in Florida all the time.
You know, that's a brilliant observation. To this moment, I never gave that a second thought. And yet, I think that's when those were more of a novelty. The tanning salons were coming on the scene throughout the country. And I know you're kind of breaking balls about it, but honestly, no, not for nothing. That makes total sense.
Yeah, no, I think it's look, I can see the business being viable, but if it's an all cash business, I'm thinking of the racketeering or I'm not saying this happened, but just the elements that would allow for that business to appeal to a certain lifestyle or organization.
Again, most regrettably, that was just a front for my illegal activities. Yeah. And again, I'm not proud of any bit of that. To the contrary, I'm ashamed of it. I don't live in shame because I've sought to make amends, and I hope we each do with whatever our missteps and otherwise we've made in our earlier lives. Shame doesn't move us forward. But it was what it was. And what can I tell you? It was very viable.
Well, one more follow-up, and I apologize to guys. I know that we're going overtime here. The kilos of cocaine, I'm Bolivian. So I don't know about kilos, but it's one of these things that if you're from Bolivia, you should probably know about kilos. Why probably 2.5 and not 3?
I'm
going to have to get back to you on that one. Okay.
I'm not sure it came up in conversation.
The book, as far as the reaching out to these other inmates with all these stories, where did the idea for the book come from?
I've been asked that. So fast forward many years after I'd been inside, I was trying to lead as many of the young inmates and gang members from throwing away the best years of their lives as I had. I was forever trying to think, how do I reach some of the younger males before they got into the school to prison pipeline where I was serving multiple lives, right? So as I was constantly quietly thinking, I'm not doing good enough by just trying to get at the individuals that were already there with me.
Right.
One day I was in a cell block talking to I was mentoring to one of my young gang members, and we were leaning over a rail, and I'll never forget the moment that I had this epiphany. And we were speaking about some of the madness that was going on in there, and I was trying to get him away from that thinking. And the concept hit me as I'm looking at all these young guys, inmates, gang members / prison inmates. For me to be able to reach kids while they're still in school and before they threw their lives away, maybe I could start going around to some of the guys that I was living around in the various cells and cell blocks and ask them to pay it forward, which served twofold, fellas, which was, for one, it was going to be a way of, there's not a lot of self-respect. Respect is a very big word used in the prison system and the gang culture and the old Italian world and all
also
that.
Also in
and
radio.
Yet in reality, self-respect is lacking, and it's just the word. So it would give the guys a voice in there to add something positive, perhaps that they did make a positive difference in somebody else's life, and ultimately that I could somehow figure out how to get the letters into the schools, and then fast forward a couple years, decade or two later, the concept, put it in a book and start looking to get it into the schools that way. That's the vehicle.
When you were sentenced, when you got the life sentence, was that at the beginning of it, was that a no parole situation, or how did your final situation where you got out of prison, how did that go down?
So yeah, there was one of the many life sentences I had was life without the possibility of ever receiving parole. But because it was ultimately an infirm sentence, and as I repeatedly say, I was no innocent bystander in any of it. That said, there was a little overcharging. I had what was called back in the day the book thrown at me for my unwillingness to cooperate. And decades later, as the decades continued to go, some of that was built in sand began to crumble, thank God. And lot of my loved ones, to include who I call my little sis, Leah, and her family. They stood by me along with all of my other loved ones and never gave up on me. And the day came that those prison gates, nearly 3 decades later, opened.
She's a pit bull. I mean, I worked with her years and years ago, and there's one thing: if she's in your corner, I think you could do a lot worse. I mean, she is really something else, and she's helped a lot of people, on a lot of different levels. And I tell you, if you talk to Leah, please pass along my love from our days that were not always fun on the Don and Mike show, but that wasn't my fault. Anyway,
I second that.
Thank you, Rob. I'm sorry. There you go. I'm not copping it. I'm not copping for that one.
I agree.
With that, the idea of getting out had to be, what was the first? I have to. It's a dumb question, but I have to ask it. When you finally get, what's the first freedom pleasure that you indulged in? Because obviously there was a pleasure you indulged in while you were inside.
Yeah.
That was resulted in your son, which is congratulations on that. That's right. But when you got outside, what's the first thing? I mean, you think Italian, I think food. Because I'm a fat guy and I always think about food. But I'm curious, what's the first thing you did when you got out?
Damn, a lot of that, believe it or not, has been a blur for me. Still 3 years later, I'm not as overstimulated as I certainly have been. But food was at the top of that list. And I could recall, and I'm still seeing the world through the eyes of a child, which I pray never goes away. But I remember making sure that someone got me to a park where I could stand under a tree and lay in grass.
That's beautiful.
Simple as that sounds.
Yeah. No, I get it. I've read enough about it to know. Before we let you go, Mike DiVicino, I want to thank you so much for coming on here. But if you could share with us cherry pick one particular letter that touched you or moved you, that's a great example of the stuff you'll find in this book. Could you share one with us, please?
I can. I often refer to one of my one-time youngsters. His name was Cam. And Cam had an NFL football career ahead of him. And as he alludes to in the letter, one night he got a call from some so-called homeboys or friends. And one night of bad decisions cost Cam untold years in prison, and he chalked up a career of a lifetime.
Well, it's an amazing book, and it really is something that I think so many kids are out there, and it's such a as I grow older, I feel even on the highways and byways as I'm driving around that it's a weird world out there. You never know; it can turn on a dime, and I think about that. I think about that all the time. As far as you never know, and you have to be smart. Rob, I'm sorry I cut you off there.
That's
but
all right.
I know you have something to
I think one thing is that we really should mention the meaning of the title of the book, which, as a father of 2 and Mike is a father of 3, I think it's an exceptionally sweet idea, and the dedication, if you could explain it would be great.
Thank you. The title of it's a book series. There's at least 2 books in the Dear Joey Letters from Prison series. After my son was conceived and I ultimately came up with, I had that epiphany, as I alluded to earlier. I know these letters that I could end up collecting and getting from some of the guys I could feel good about paying it forward to some degree, ultimately putting it in the format of a book. And I thought, I mean, there's no greater other than for a man to love his child wholeheartedly, but to honor my son, if you will, by naming this book series after him. And my son's name obviously is Giuseppe, or Joey. And that's where the title Dear Joey comes from.
I was surprised it wasn't Paulie. I mean, that's just from my, that's
a bad joke.
I know. So, it was there. I picked it. Yeah. Low-hanging fruit. It was there.
Very low-hanging, Mike.
Thank you. Appreciate that. That's what I do. That's what I've made a career doing. I have to ask you this. The most famous, since you were Hollywood Mike, I will ask you, who is the most famous Hollywood luminary that you ever met out in L.A.? Did you meet any famous stars when you were out there?
My heart and soul, first and foremost, is my little sis, Leah, of course. But
Leah Remini.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I was around James Caan for some time, and
Wow.
and that was he was a real man's man. And
Yeah.
you know, not to shun any others, but I'm a guy that pays homage to those that come from the heart. They're real. Don't forget where they've come from. And Jimmy Caan was one of them. He was a man's man.
Yeah, and really did just such an amazing career. And when he passed, you made a big deal. Did you so with your time in, did you spend any time around guys that were, as they would say, pardon me for doing this, in the life that we might know of? Did you rub shoulders? Mike DiVicino, did you rub shoulders with anybody that perhaps we knew that was a friend of ours or something like that?
Molly, you do that a little too well, Mike. We're going to have a conversation when we get off this. Actually, it wasn't during my state time, those nearly 3 decades, but a little earlier on when I did a short stint in the Federal Bureau of Prisons. Yes, I ran into some of my guys at the time in the various federal penitentiaries. They used to have a thing real quick. They used to call it the midnight train. I don't know if they still do it.
That sounds dangerous.
It was this technique they had, and I was in my early 20s. The midnight train, the concept that the feds used to do, they'd put geniuses like me on planes and federal prison buses. It was like a 23 out of 24 hours day to just wear you down and break you ultimately. So just as soon as you'd be traveling through different states on these stifling prison buses, chains rattling, other inmates all around you, you're worn out, you're tired, you get to a federal facility. As soon as you get there, they're racking on your bars, they're rolling you up, they're chaining you up again. Now you're on prison airplanes being flown around the country, landing down prison. But
Wow.
During that time, I ran into a number of, like I said at the time, my guys, and leave that there. But I hope they're not able to continue, that they've been able to continue with that practice to break somebody. There's other ways, I would imagine, but that's not for me to say. But it wasn't that. Not healthy.
You know, Mike, I'm not a religious person, but when I do go into a church, two of the words that that always have touched me from my days growing up in a Catholic family are, or any church, when you go and you see hope and you see forgiveness. Those are two words that I love to see in any kind of religious world. And I would imagine that it took an awful lot of hope to deal with what you were dealing with, and an awful lot of perseverance to be able to turn your life around and turn it around. Life is short, but I think you're doing something with your life right now that's got to be tremendously fulfilling. It's an inspiring story that no matter what you've been through, and it could so easily go the other way for you, where you could just have given up faith in humanity in total. You're to be commended for that, and I wish you a tremendous amount of luck in your future going forward. And I hope you get a lot out of this book, and you get a lot out of life. And congratulations on the book. I think it's really a terrific endeavor.
Thank you truly so much, each of you. And Mike, really, thank you for that. That was very heartfelt. And, I learned earlier on, it's not about us. It really, truly is about everybody else. Let's stop being selfish and start thinking about the next person, regardless whether they look like us or not. Unimportant.
Yeah. Fathers and sons.
Amen.
Sons do funny things. I found that out late in life, thank God. All right, Mike DiVicino, the book is Dear Joey, Letters from Prison, Book 1. Thank you so much for joining us. And say hi to Leah when you get a chance. Love to have her on. And feel free to lie to her and say Mike burst into tears and was talking about how long we've tried to get her back on the show. I know she had a bad taste in her mouth with the Don and Mike show, but please, For the love of God, I'd love to get Leah on the show sometime. Give her my best, okay, my friend?
Absolutely. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you all.
My pleasure. Thank you, Mike. That's Mike DiVicino, and a.k.a. Hollywood Mike, and it's Dear Joey, Letters from Prison, Book 1, a fantastic read. Check it out if you get an opportunity. We're going to take a short break. We will come back with the homepage right here on the Mike O'Mara Show. Whoa, whoa.
Has this ever happened to you?
This guy saw me running. He's closing the door, pretending like he hasn't seen me as I'm yelling.
Step up to a new experience in airline travel that's made for a powerful, sophisticated business leader like you.
I buy, you fly.
Santana Airlines shows you the difference between getting where you're going and leading the way.
It's not like we're in a hurry to go anywhere.
Santana Airlines, where everyone is treated like a CEO.
I'm a CEO.
I'm the president, she's vice president.
And as you enjoy the synergy of the amazing skies, use what little bandwidth you think is actionable and circle back to the amazing deals at the Mike O'Mara Shopping Center.
Leverage the value proposition of that low-hanging fruit. At the end of the day, it's a win-win. Just pivot and click the banner at MikeO'MaraShow.com.
It's amazing.
Hold that
Welcome back to the Mike O'Mara Show. This portion of our program is brought to you by our friends at Cornerstone Financial. I really, really want to emphasize how good a group of folks these are, and I hope you get involved with them. You may be wondering right now if it's a good time to buy a home. It's kind of been weird with the economy this week, and with positive inflation news, negative inflation news, stock market tanking this week. According to my friend Mark Livingstone at Cornerstone Financial, it is a great time to buy a home. Inventory is back at pre-pandemic levels, so it's a great chance to marry the house but date the rate. And then you get a lot of talk about the rate, especially with inflation scares and all that. Come on now. That means as rates change, you can lock in now to protect against higher rates. And once you're locked in, if rates go down, you can refinance your mortgage to lower your monthly payments. Residential lending has changed, and whether you're a first-time home buyer, debating rent versus own, upsizing, downsizing, or anything in between, you need a team that knows your specific options and can get you the absolute best deal. With their years, and I'm talking years of experience, customer service, and low-rate guarantee, these guys are the absolute best. I'm sorry I'm doing that voice again. You're our friends.
You're not that sorry.
And they've done all of our loans. And if we don't pay promptly, that's not true. I'm sorry. I'm terribly sorry.
I just remember, Mike, when they gave me the loan, they requested a consideration. I don't know what that means.
Hello, I'd like to speak to Mark Livingstone. What's the VIG? What's the VIG on that? Whether a purchase or refi, call Cornerstone Financial today, the #1 mortgage company of TMOS, 202-625-1221. That's 202-625-1221 or cornerstonefirst.com.
From the four corners of the World Wide Web and into your digital device, it's what you need to know. This is the homepage.
We talk about the Magic Box on this show quite a bit. It was the Emmys this week, so we're always talking about TV and what's good and what's not. Our listeners recommend to us. We recommend to our listeners. It's a nice little circle, and there's always stuff going on. According to a new poll, the average person has 13 TV shows and 16 movies on their watch list, which is about 104 hours worth of content. Makes sense to me. 68% of us think it'll be nearly impossible to get through all of it. Not me.
Yeah,
you don't know how sedentary I truly am.
What a great problem to have.
Yeah. Might be taking House of the Dragon or Dragon House or whatever the hell it's called off the list, though.
Well, it's definitely
slow burn.
It's definitely a lower priority for me. Did you agree with this week's episode?
Oh, my God. Yeah. Come on. If it's the crab eater... Yeah, they could have the old Game of Thrones. You would have had crabs coming out of sphincters.
Didn't we have a crab guy on the show in the past?
Yeah.
Well, that's the guy that did the crab commercials.
Kaz, yeah, that was his name.
Is Kaz still a guy? Is he still doing the thing?
Yeah, he's around, I think. I think he's still doing the thing.
Right before the Bay Bridge.
Here are the top 15 shows.
Why is that crab coming out of his eye?
I don't think it was the Bay Bridge.
No?
I think it was past the Bay Bridge.
I think it was
down
way,
towards Salisbury.
It was way far away, as I remember.
Salisbury. I'll give you the top 15
Extra
on
mustard.
people's watch list. Lasso, number 15. Succession, 14. Those are on my list.
Yep.
Sherlock at number 13. Anyone?
Big movement for Sherlock. I never got into it, but I have big fans.
Is that Cumberbatch?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I've never seen
Pony's
it.
a
Movie or
Sherlock
TV
guy.
show? Movie or TV show?
TV show.
Tony?
It's a TV show.
Limited
and it's
run, right?
fantastic. Very limited run, but every episode, it's one of those shows where like every episode's like a movie. The production value is so high.
Ooh. I liked, you know what? As hard a time as I give Pony, I do like his recos all the way going back to Bloodline.
Does
I
he
like
wear
his,
the hat
stuff.
in the show, Pony? The Sherlock Holmes hat?
He does eventually, but he hates it.
Hey, no spoilers.
Okay.
Number 12 is Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Boo.
Anyone?
We're talking about the show
just checking.
or the
show? Is that the cartoon? What is
It
that?
says Avatar: The Last Airbender. Maybe it's a movie. They don't distinguish whether it's a
When
movie
we used
or
to
TV.
travel,
classic.
Mike, when we used to travel a lot, I saw you take a few airbenders.
Yes, I did.
Ew.
That's for sure. On trains, oddly enough.
Yeah,
Sir, we're out of gin. Would you like to switch to vodka?
Sure.
I'll
I'll put in my
anything-
own aromatics.
Anything you got. 11 is Friends. 10, Better Call Saul. How about Friends, though, with all the, I mean,
Huge.
after this many years? Pretty amazing. The Mandalorian, Euphoria, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, The Crown, Squid Game, Breaking Bad, still Breaking
Wow.
Bad. People have having it. If you haven't gotten to Breaking Bad, what the hell's wrong
I think
with you?
Robert
Come
has
on.
watched the series 3 times.
Yeah, change your life.
Yeah.
The Walking Dead, way up there. Game of Thrones, we were just talking
Yes.
about that. And numero uno, who can guess? I'll give you a little timpani. So
Oh,
you
I
can
know what
try
it
to
is.
guess. What do you, Rob Spiewak?
Gotta be Columbo.
Columbo is incorrect. But
Damn
it's a
it.
show you like.
I love Columbo.
I'll give you a hint. It's a show you like, but you like a particular character more than ever.
Oh, I know what it is. Only
Whoa.
Murders in the Building.
No, it's Stranger Things. Not only Murders in the Building.
Oh.
Stranger
Give me a break.
Things.
Oh, I
Stranger
like
Things
I
is-
like Barb.
This past
Barb.
season's amazing.
There it is. Thank you. That's what I was
Amazing.
looking for.
Past
Yeah, so it's TV. It's what's for
I like the kid with the big hair.
Quick anecdote about Friends that we learned from one of our new team members here at Podville.
Yes.
It might have been me that asked this great question, so I'll give myself credit.
It was great.
Okay.
I said, when did you know that the show was a hit? Because it wasn't an overnight sensation.
Mm-hmm.
And like, what was it? What was outside of the ratings? Like, what did you see or feel as you working on the lot?
Right.
And she said it was the cars. The cars and the way that the cast was dressing starts changing. Like you go from
The cars that they're privately owned cars
Yeah.
that they would bring to the set.
yeah,
That's
they were,
the same with disc jockeys too.
I've never experienced this, so I
Yeah.
don't know.
She also mentioned craft services got a
Yes.
lot better.
Craft services then had Starbucks instead of just like that old coffee pot that would have
Right.
It would just slowly turn and change.
There is a fascinating story about the cast of Friends. I think it was James Burrows or one of the producers. I can't be sure who it was. Took them to Vegas shortly before the show premiered and said, "Enjoy this trip. It's the last time you'll ever be able to go out without being recognized." And he was right.
Wow, that would freak me out. That would totally freak me out. That level of fame.
You love being a star.
No. That's why I got into the fight after I got fired. Anyway,
You mean the fade?
well,
Yeah, he
the
did not.
fade.
He did not decline the fade.
You know?
Well, I proposed the fade, so I'm.
Yes, you suggested the fade.
And much like our friend Mike DiVicino, I'm not proud of my behavior at all. Ben Affleck gave a long speech to Jennifer Lopez at their wedding, so long that it was 12 pages. According to Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith is funny.
Yeah.
On The View yesterday, Kevin said, quote, "Ben is one of my favorite writers on the planet. He wrote his vows. They both did. But he wrote a big speech that he read to her at the wedding, which was breathtaking and long," he said.
I don't
That's
care
one
if
of
it's.
my-
I don't care if it's brilliant. 12 pages is too much.
That's one of my favorite things about Ben. He's his own biggest fan.
I believe that.
And so he wrote like a 12-page speech. I was like, keep talking. Keep talking. That's Kevin Smith. Is
Yeah,
funny.
that's like
That's just funny. That's why guys like Kevin Smith don't get invited
that's
to
like
weddings.
Jimmy Cerrito's Christmas toast.
Oh my God! I never had the pleasure.
Oh, I time it every year. I'd be
in another room.
Yeah.
I'd go to another room.
Well, they close the bar down while he's talking, so you have to listen.
Oh, so he does it at the end of the night too, when everybody wants to go home?
No, he does it in the middle of it.
It's
In the
private,
middle.
It's private.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Middle's
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
You're still tuning up. By the way, Squid Game is basically a show about how capitalism and greed can destroy people's lives. So the fact that Netflix is making a reality show about it with a cash prize is, a little bit suspect. But the show's creator, his name is Hwang Dong-hyuk.
He's sus.
Yuck. He isn't too bothered. He says, quote, "What I hope is that they will be carrying on my vision," and I can't stand that music. Stop it. "I hope they will be carrying on my vision and intention as much as possible for the show." He adds, quote, "I think that even though our show does carry quite a heavy message, whenever you take things too seriously, that's really not the best way to go for the entertainment industry." I couldn't agree more. Keep it light.
It's a shame because if it's a competition or a reality show, you need a host, and we don't have Regis anymore. And Regis would have been perfect.
But if what would have been perfection if it was real death.
As you will notice, there are machine guns that are strategically located in the teddy bears around the ring. And what they'll do is, if you cannot find the key that's in the melon, you will be gunned down by a machine gun. Well, then fine.
Squid Game. The challenge is a 10-episode series with a prize of $4.56 million. Which is that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. I don't know why I'm using this voice there. Oh my God!
$1 million.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen.
In the teddy bears, Regis. Look for the teddy bears.
I wear glasses because I have to when I'm doing this show. Mm-hmm. That wasn't always the case, but for many, many years it has been. People tend to look smarter when they're in glasses. That's what we all believe, right? Mm-hmm. Well, a new study found the phenomenon might not be as universal as we thought. Volunteers had to rate how smart they thought people were based only on photos, some with glasses, some without. And when people were in glasses, they were actually seen as less intelligent.
Really?
Well, then.
Yeah. That's the opposite of pretty much every study that's been done. So why is it the case? Well, it turns out some cultures don't associate glasses with higher IQs like we do in the United States.
Wow.
All the other studies on it were done in Western countries like the U.S., but this one was done in the Middle East, specifically Jordan. For whatever reason, they don't associate glasses with intelligence as much. One thing we do all agree on, though, is that glasses tend to make people look slightly less attractive. People rated glasses wearers as looking less confident, too. I agree, because when I take mine off, I don't have the same.
I love when Carrie wears her glasses instead of her contacts. I think she looks beautiful in her glasses.
But psychologically, it's you have weak eyes. So that's weakness, right? If you need glasses,
and you know how you got that way.
Is that a masturbation joke?
I don't know what it is, Mike.
Usually, people that have really weak eyes, they're small. Right, they're weak and small looking. So when you take, I have what people don't realize. I have my eyes open right now.
What? I don't believe this study because I always thought one of the smartest men on earth is the man who dances for the Six Flags commercials. And it's because of those glasses.
What, the old man?
Yeah, the old man that sings to
That's
the Venga
an old
bus.
Commercial.
Mr. Six.
Mr. Six.
Mr. Six.
Thank you, Matt.
You really have to dive into loserdom to know that fact. That's for sure.
Mr.
Over the past
Six.
month or so, the terms quiet quitting and quiet firing have gone viral. We've had many discussions on this show about that. They're basically just passive-aggressive ways to not do as much work or to make an employee miserable until they leave. Now, there's a new concept that may be trending, quietly working two jobs. The snappier name for it is overemployed. When you've got two remote gigs going on, and neither employer knows about the other. On top of that, you're able to manage doing both of them simultaneously within one workday. There's even a website called overemployed.com, which helps people do it, as well as a thread on Reddit. So I didn't know that was a thing, that people are taking jobs that their employers don't know about.
It sounds like a Hallmark movie.
It sounds a little weird.
And then the two bosses fall in love, maybe. And that's how they discover that it's happening.
Well, I'm sorry to cut you off, but it depends on the responsibilities.
You're getting it done.
If I'm running my TPS reports on the passenger side, seat of my car, and I'm running maybe a few Uber rides here and there, am I really cheating on my employer?
No, I don't think so.
No, how different is this than moonlighting in the old days, where you would take a job in the evening?
And really, is it the employer? If you're doing your job at a decent level, at an adequate level, and you're doing it effectively, does the employer really need to know that you're moonlighting, doing something like that? Well, there's Phil. There's Phil Rogers. He's asleep at his desk. Oh my God.
We already sent you your W-2.
Classic Rogers.
Roger. There's Rogers right there. Anyway, a Knoxville man was arrested Saturday for stealing televisions. This is your little something.
Okay.
He did it from the Chapman Highway Wal-Mart. And then he sold them in the parking lot of the Chapman Highway Walmart.
Oh, no. Not okay.
That's according to an incident report. Officers responded to the Walmart around 9 p.m. Good time to be at a Walmart.
Best time.
I don't think you go into Walmart after 9 p.m. I think that's
8, Mike.
That's hinky time. I feel
8.
And I'm talking about the one next door. I won't be in there after 9 p.m.
What if you really need some breeze?
If I really need something, I know, but I've been in the Walmarts late at night. It's a hinky, weird. It's a weird place at 10 a.m.
It is.
I don't want to be there after the sun goes down. Anyway, officers responded to the mart around 9 p.m. where they found Donald Kirkland in possession of shoplifted property. The report said Kirkland ran from the responding officers, but they were able to take him into custody. Afterwards, he told officers he had stolen 3 TVs, a karaoke machine, and camping equipment from the Walmart and was selling it all in the parking lot of the Walmart. The manager of the store also told officers that he saw Kirkland loading one of the TVs into a cart in the store. Kirkland was charged with theft of merchandise. When asked why he didn't shoplift in the let me start that again.
Yes.
I'm terribly sorry how to read a sentence.
It's fine.
Here we go. Funny line, and I
Here comes Oscar. Get ready.
It's been very heavy lifting for me in the early part of the show here. When asked why he didn't shoplift at the local Costco store, Mr. Kirkland said, "Well, they're like family to me." Thank you. Thank you very much.
I was hoping you would go there.
That's a little Kirkland joke. I was worried you were going to jump in.
No. What I do is I like to hang back.
That's it. Yeah. Kirkland is the... Yeah. All right. Anyway, we'll take a break. And we'll come back with more fun on the Mike O'Mara Show.
Romeo and Juliet, Antony and Cleopatra, Bogey and Bacall. Add to that list another one of the world's greatest love stories, Mike and Carla O'Mara.
Oh, yeah.
Their love is like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. Their love is like the melody that's sweetly played in tune. And nowhere is that love story more on display than the Mike O'Mara Bonus Show. Yes, fall in love with love again and again with a Mike O'Mara Bonus Show subscription. Lovingly tap the banner at MikeO'MaraShow.com and order the TMOS Bonus Show today. You'll love it, just like Carla loves Mike.
Yep. Angry dishes. Angry dishes. Hey, welcome back to the Mike O'Mara Show. If you've ever shopped for electric bikes, you probably needed to sit down when you saw the price tag. But electric e-bikes cost way less than other e-bikes without skimping on quality or features. And price isn't the only reason. Electric e-bikes are for everyone. Let me read that sentence the right way. I'm having trouble reading today.
You know, Mike, I actually stopped by Oscar's office yesterday, and while his back is healing, he's not using his electric e-bike. And it's in his office. It's the first time I got a chance to really look at it. It is a thing of beauty. It is so cool
Substantial.
looking. It is.
I know why I messed up that sentence.
Why?
Because it's written incorrect.
Is it?
You don't start a sentence with "and."
I don't like to.
Well, you're not supposed to.
You're not supposed to.
The sentence is, and price isn't the only reason electric e-bikes are for everyone.
I should have. It's conversational, but you're right. It's grammatically wrong.
Well, and I'm being the stickler. I am.
And then I went to Costco, so I don't capitalize the A?
No. Then I went to Costco. You could say
this is what wouldn't have stumped me. All right.
Okay.
All right. I'll do the whole thing. But electric e-bikes cost way less than other e-bikes without skimping on quality or features. Price isn't the only reason electric e-bikes are for everyone. They fold in half for easy storage and come fully assembled with free shipping. Plus, you can customize your e-bike with seat padding, size, and suspension options to maximize comfort. Not to mention that it's way more eco-friendly than a car. Explore the great outdoors or the city while keeping the air clean. There are 200,000 dedicated electric e-bike riders on the road so far. 200,001 if you count Oscar Santana. He loves his. Hop on and ride with electric e-bikes during their fall sale. Go to electricebikes.com and save up to $150 on a 2.0 e-bike purchase. That's electric, Lectric, ebikes.com. Thank you. All right, Carrie went away.
My wife, yes.
You didn't, we touched on this, but we haven't really.
Yeah. I can't wait to get into this.
We haven't taken a real dive on the fact that, did she go out to visit another fella?
No. She actually,
can we give a little rough background for our new listeners?
Well, I've married Carrie.
Yes.
25
years.
Almost 26 years.
Longest running marriage on the show.
She nursed you back to health?
Yes, she was selfless.
She's has had a rejuvenation of sorts?
Yes, she had plastic surgery.
Twice.
And they're both times, both of them optional. She chose to do it.
The first one was
it was bundled in
nightmare.
It was bundled in with one that had been recommended for nasal surgery.
Bundled or bungled?
Bundled in with a nasal correction, and then that.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so
and
she
that
was
turned
having
into
some nose surgery,
and that turned into a facelift, and then.
Well, I mean, they planned on it.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
it's not like he was in there and going, well, that nose looks a little off to me. And by the way, I'm going to do a tummy tuck.
What I'm saying is that when they were planning the actual procedure, that's when the idea of a facelift was brought into it.
Yeah, while we're in there, let's do this.
Yeah, he said, we can do that. And then after that, she wanted to get her eyes done. And so she had her eyes done, 2 months ago, I guess.
So when he was in there and she was going to have like a rhinoplasty for medical reasons,
right,
and the doctor said, while we're in there, we could do a facelift. Did you hear this sound?
No.
Did she like have the light bulb go off and go, yeah?
Yeah, well, she thought that. Yeah, well, I mean,
you were consulted.
Yeah, I mean, I was consulted, and it's what she wanted. If she wants it, she should have it, I suppose. So
that's what I say about Carla.
So
happy life, happy wife.
Completely
exactly.
Disagree.
Really?
Thank you.
About
Thank
my
you
wife.
very much.
Okay, well,
I tell Shannon all the time, is it a want or need? Do we want it or do we actually need it?
Well, I mean, you've purchased things in your lifetime that you did not need.
No, he needed the transformer.
No, el que paga manda.
What's paga manda?
The person who pays, they make the rules.
What is the literal translation of paga manda?
El que paga manda, the one who pays.
Paga manda.
He actually makes the rules.
Monster.
It's a Brazilian monster, or what is it?
It's a Bolivian money monster.
Oh, a Bolivian money marriage monster.
Back to Carrie. Yes. She's one time she traveled over all the way to the Far East,
Japan,
to see a man.
Yes, she visited a guy over there because she had a place to stay.
No, but she went because she thought that might have been her long lost love.
Now, when did you invent that? I'm curious.
I thought that's what happened.
No,
it's fun.
It's not
fun. What do you remember?
I remember.
He doesn't remember anything about going to Japan.
Yes, I don't remember
it. Talking, please.
I remember that she went to Japan, and then we were asking you about who she went with, and you were like, "Oh, it was a friend that she knew back in the day." And then it came out that it was a guy, and we were like, "Oh, that's kind of weird."
Did we determine that he was gay?
No, that's another guy. But that guy, that Tony,
nothing wrong with that.
He was on this trip.
No, I mean I was talking in terms of a romantic relationship.
No, she had a place to stay in Japan, and she always wanted to go.
I thought she went to meet a man.
No,
in Japan.
No. She knew the guy from high school. They were friends, and she went and visited him and had a place to stay in Japan.
Okay.
And Carrie does love to travel. I'll give her that.
She likes to go away, and she likes to be, and she likes most. What she really loves is spending time away from you.
And wouldn't you?
I absolutely. I'd
love
love to
you.
get out of the house.
But no, I meant be away from me.
Yeah, we
But
love
you're
you.
no trouble, right?
Yeah, I'm low maintenance.
You're fun.
And as a rule, I let her do what she wants to. She was a traveler before we dated and before we married. She was a traveler. And this trip, normally when she travels, I wish her all the best. And I say, have a good time. If she's going to visit a cousin, that's great. If you're going
Cousin!
do something like that, that's fantastic. This is the first trip that I'm jealous of when I started to see how it was falling out. Because she was going, they were all going to converge in
Who's
Los
they?
Angeles.
Who's they?
They is her friend Jennifer and her husband.
Go right down the list. Okay, so
Okay.
there's Jennifer.
Yes.
And hold on, Jennifer's husband.
Hubby.
Yeah, Billy.
Their husband's going on this trip?
Well, her husband was. I think I might have been invited on this trip, and I think I passed.
There it is. Okay,
But you know
important
what?
fact.
But we may be to the point where I wouldn't be invited because she knew I would probably say no, and early on I would have said no.
Okay, so one couple's
One
going.
couple, and then Tony and his boyfriend were there, and
Okay.
Carrie. They all stayed in a
So
Airbnb.
that's another couple.
Yeah, so there was
Yeah.
5 people in the Airbnb, and then a couple other people.
Wait. Who are the other people?
The other people were not at the Airbnb, but they were there for the event that they traveled out for, which
What did they
is
travel out for?
Duran Duran at the Hollywood Bowl.
Wow.
And I'm jealous not only because Duran Duran puts on a hell of a show,
Yeah.
and they've put more money into their show now because they used to be doing arenas.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're doing a bigger tour. And the Hollywood Bowl, I've never been to that legendary venue. I would love to see a show.
Yeah,
there.
I mean they do a good live show. That's,
Yeah. It's
so they're out
fantastic.
in L.A.
Yeah. And then she says, well, we also, Tony planned out some good eating to do. And I said, well, where did you go? And she says, a place called Musso and Frank's Grill. I said, that's the restaurant that they're in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And she says, oh, I haven't seen that. The food was good. And I just,
which restaurant is it in?
When
Is
she
it where
meets
they have the
the-
margaritas?
when they meet Pacino at the very beginning. And
That really like
Yeah.
old
Yeah,
school.
yeah, the one
leather
that kind of looks like a
chair.
palm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So they
All
actually
right.
had dinner there and ate at the Rolling Stones' table.
Wow.
And then they went to another restaurant that I've heard of in Hollywood lore called Cafe Formosa, which is like the
It's not
first
the Rolling Stones' table. It's the Rolling Stones'
table. And the Cafe Formosa was the first high-class Chinese restaurant in Los Angeles, and it goes back to the 30s. And it's so classic and beautiful, and they went there. And I started thinking, you know what? Trip to Los Angeles, 2 great restaurants, hell of a show. I should have gone with this one. And I told her as much.
And what did she say to that?
She said, well, the Duran Duran's still on tour. I guess we can go see them again. And I said, yeah, but it won't ever be the Los Angeles show. So
let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Because this is a throwback to your old lifestyle
Yeah.
where you really, you were kind
You
of
were
a
a
hermit.
recluse.
Yeah.
And you were down in your basement, and so
Drinking.
knocking
we
back
can say,
lemonades,
yeah, you're
lemonades and
recovering
vodka,
now,
with probably not a lot of motivation to do stuff.
Right.
And so now, it's going to the casino, it's going out with mom, it's going
going
around.
tubing.
You're traveling all over the place. You're doing stuff.
Yeah.
This is the new you. This is the new you. So this has changed
Yeah,
dramatically.
so
The
I would
question
I'd like
is,
to be a part
does
of
she
this.
want to have you along?
Well, I don't know if she does or not, but apparently all the friends asked about me, which is a good
you're
sign.
fun.
So,
Yeah. And
so-
also, like,
I mean,
she's-
more than anything, you're fun. Robb Spiewak, we give him a lot of hard time on this show, but travel as a traveling companion,
he's
oh my
great.
God, he's
You're
the
fun.
best.
He's got a great attitude. The one thing that's a little off-putting, and look, I say this with all due respect.
Oh, I imagine.
I counted 5 dongers on this trip, and Carrie,
Yeah.
your wife. Like, what did she like? It when you don't travel with your wife, it's I guess now that I'm married,
kind of like doors open.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
room
right. Yeah,
403.
yeah.
Knock 3 times.
Yeah.
Come on in.
I don't feel she was in any danger as far as that goes. As far as the
How many heterosexual males were involved in this trip?
Billy. That's it.
What about that other
One guy, and he was with his wife.
And he was with his wife. So that's why I think we're fine. I think we're fine.
Did he have a lot of pineapple shirts?
There was rocks in the driveway. I don't know what that means, but I was. But
so it was a good time.
They had their Airbnb was walking distance to Hollywood Bowl. They were right in the middle of everything. She went to she sent me pictures. They went to Hollywood Cemetery, and she sent me pictures. So I was on her mind. So I think in the future, when I was on her mind. I think in the future that I might be accompanying her on some of these
You
voyages.
should go.
Yeah.
It wouldn't just be great for the show, but you should see the world.
And we have an anniversary coming up in October, so we have to figure out what we're going to do for that.
I'm traveling for my anniversary
Yeah.
Friday.
Yes.
You know, it's why I won't be here. And you guys
Clear
will be doing a bonus
skies.
show.
Yeah.
Clear skies, I heard.
That's right.
We have to take a break.
Yeah.
Why did I do that?
But I
can
also-
do that.
but I do
Off
have- I
air,
have
I
something-
can ask.
I have-
I can ask something.
Guys, I won't be
you know?
here on Friday. Just letting you know on air right now in real time.
We knew. We knew.
No, you
No,
gave us
you
the
didn't.
You gave us the
You
dates.
really didn't.
You
until
gave us the
right
You
dates.
gave us the dates.
Oh, I did.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's your travel day. We know how it
Thank you.
works.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
But I got
appreciate
something
that.
else to talk about Carrie.
We'll do that when we come back, and we'll ask our Oscar about the pooper investigation as well. Right here on the Mike O'Mara Show, everybody.
Hey kids, where do you want to go for dinner?
Now Jim Amato is going to sell a veggie burger.
Amato burgers. I love beef, but I'll take this.
You'll not believe the incredible Mike O'Mara burger.
This Amato veggie burger is fantastic.
Oh, God, these are good.
Welcome to Amato's, Pittsburgh's favorite burger.
It says 100% guaranteed, you moron.
At Amato's, we pack our burgers with top quality cuts of beef and prepare everything with tender love and care.
Did they teach you that here, Brad?
If you're hungry for laughs, why not try the Mike O'Mara Bonus Show? Supersize the fun with a yearly subscription at MikeO'MaraShow.com.
Yeah, don't just stare at it, eat it.
A lot going on in that one.
A lot going on.
Take advantage of that low-hanging fruit.
Now a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. How we care for our minds affects how we experience life. So it's important to invest time and care into keeping our minds healthy. There are plenty of ways to support a healthy brain, like learning a new language or taking power naps. Sleep is so important. There's also BetterHelp online therapy. BetterHelp is professional therapy. It's done securely, it's done online, and it's available to people worldwide. You can log into your account anytime. You can send a message to your therapist. You can also schedule weekly video or phone sessions, so you don't have to be on camera if you don't want to. Even better, it's much more affordable than in-person therapy. Now more than ever, I believe in therapy, and BetterHelp is always there for you. Best of all, they are accessible when you need them. Keep your mind healthy with BetterHelp. Now listen to this. This is a great offer. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/TMOS. That's BetterHelp.com/TMOS. And we thank you, BetterHelp. All right, so one more thing you wanted to add about the Cary trip.
Well, no, this is not about the trip. This is a separate issue.
She's back, by the way.
Yeah, she's back, and she had a great time. And I think one of the main reasons she had a great time is, she has been also improving her eating habits and exercise habits, and that, along with the elective plastic surgery, she looks dynamite. She really looks good. And when you show up off a plane to your high school friends and you look that good, that's a pretty good moment for her.
Without her husband.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Single and swinging and ready to go.
And next trip, you're in the passenger side.
Absolutely.
Right.
So
okay.
All that is good, except then there's the time that Carrie makes me feel so awkward and there's no good way out of it. Oscar was actually part of this real time yesterday. Carrie got up, and because she was on this trip, her car, she has the Kia, of course, the Sorrento. It sat unstarted in the driveway for 4 or 5 days because I was using the other car. Okay. She went to start it to go to work, dead battery. And so we thought maybe it was the key fob because you need a fob to start it. So I walked her through changing that battery. Well, that wasn't the dead battery. The dead battery was the one in the car. And so I called the dealership because I knew I had one replaced there, not recently, but in the recent memory. And it was still under warranty. So
Kia, by the way, is Korean for burn them up.
That's what it is.
Speaking about the batteries.
That's right. So
right. Did it send, by the way, did the alarm go off, the battery alarm go off on the Kia?
I'm not familiar with the battery alarm.
It sounds like this. I'm sorry.
The dealership has teddy bears with guns in it.
That's it. That's two Korean jokes.
So she called our insurance company because the battery was covered. We just needed to get a jump start.
Yeah.
Did the insurance agent say did the adjuster say you're in deep kimchi?
No, he did not. Mike, we have an American insurance company.
Do you call your insurance company for the AAA to show up, or is it?
It's coverage through our policy.
Okay, got it.
So I forget exactly how she did it, but she got everything all worked out. And the guy shows up, and he gets there like 40 minutes ahead of schedule.
Oh, that's always
and
good.
Gets it started right away, leaves it running. She said, all I need to do is drive to the dealership.
Did he put a brand new battery in it?
No, but the dealership did. And the dealership is
okay. All right.
Fantastic.
The dealership is only about 5 miles away. So
there is, you have some history because if I'm not mistaken, you've burnt down a car by jumping a car.
I did.
Inappropriately.
Yeah, you've been battery challenged before.
Yeah.
But you know what? I can really claim absolute non-guilt on this one.
Red positive, black negative.
You see, they had at CarMax, which, by the way, they should burn down. They had put the caps on the wrong.
You ever drive by one of their lots?
I hate it.
I was just there 2 weeks ago.
Why?
I got an estimate on the Volvo.
And?
They basically said bend over.
Yeah.
That's the worst place you could possibly ever go.
Everything
and
about
they're
it
a
is
big
rotten.
factory. They're a rip-off factory.
Yeah, that's exactly. Mike, a clip joint.
In my opinion, it's not a fact. Please don't sue me. I'm a lowly podcast.
So this guy starts up the car, and it's going great, and she knows that everything is set. And he says, by the way, your name's Spiewak. Are you related to a guy who does podcasting?
Boom.
And she said, well, yes, my husband is on the Mike O'Mara show. And he said, and he also does cake and cookies, right? And so
a real fan.
He's like a real fan.
Mobber.
Yeah, and Carrie,
exciting.
She said this was really cool because Carrie forgets that even though we are not in the grand spotlight of fame, we do have a little bit of ourselves in the public eye. I think Carrie forgets that. And she was very nice to the guy. She said, yes, that's my husband. Would you like to see the jukebox? And she brought him into my basement and showed him the jukebox
and that's when he knocked her unconscious.
And that's when he had said, drink this. I brought this
that's
from
just
home.
A little,
do you
that's
like
very
my
nice
new
of her.
face?
And then,
hey, but that's a really nice reaction.
Yeah,
on her
it was
part.
fantastic. Showed him my little home studio and all the junk I have downstairs, the Elvis shelf.
Just a strange man.
And then she called me and said,
The empty bottles.
This is where he used to drink.
The bottles are full of memories. Sad memories. They're no longer empty.
That's cool. That's
It was really cool. And then Carrie called me. She was so excited to say how cool this guy was and that he's a big fan and that she showed him all this stuff. She says, I didn't have anything to give him, like a business card or anything, but he was so nice.
We don't have any stuff, and we need stuff.
And
we have stuff.
Well, the cards are dated. The logo's dated.
But I mean, even if we had
You're
stuff,
dated.
I wouldn't have it at home.
Jesus.
And then I said,
I am.
Carrie, that's okay. How much did you tip him? And she says, oh, I didn't tip him. So after emphasizing the fact, now there's no good way to get out from under the fact that this guy thinks I'm cheap.
The tour of Robland was the tip.
That is not the tip. Believe me, that should have increased
I know exactly
it.
how you feel. I would not have thought that. You're very thoughtful to think about that.
It's embarrassing.
And then she said, well, I have his name. We could call him and Venmo him something. I said, that's even more awkward, I think. I don't know that there's any solution to this. I'm just going to, you know what?
Maybe she calls the guy back out and, tips don't always have to be dollars.
Yeah.
Because she's all revved up from the LA trip.
She could get stuck in the washing machine somehow.
My toe is in the tub. It's stuck in the faucet. I don't know what to do.
Oh, this robe.
It's fallen open.
Mysteriously fallen open.
Terry cloth isn't what it was before.
That's right. Can you? I know that the insurance is for car, but do you help me with my bathtub faucet?
Well, I think it's great that you had a cake and cookies fan.
Yes.
And, when's the next cake and cookies going to be gracing the podcast waves?
Right now,
Cookie, because you're cake.
I am cake. Cookie, Katie is still at a point where it's hard for her to talk at an extended period of time because of her jaw surgery. But there's nothing stopping us when she feels better. And we did one not too long, 5-6 months ago, I think, here at Podville when she was up, and it was a blast. And we'd love to do another one.
Way to keep it in the public eye.
But we got to do it.
All right, let's get an update on the the pooper. You say you might have some, and we only have a couple of seconds here.
I have sent
dust poop.
I've sent the camera footage of the Stoop pooper to the police because what I can decipher from the camera and the sound that this act was done at the wrong house. Someone was trying to leave a steamer at someone else's house.
No, like it was
you think
on
this
purpose.
was an act of malice?
Yes. instead of the bag of poop that's on fire, they just left the turd. But
what makes you think this was
young
malicious?
man he's laughing while he's going to the restroom.
I do
on my stoop
all the time.
Oh, he's laughing,
and you can hear someone in the background saying,
What do you mean you laugh all the time?
Every time when especially during number 2, I just can't stop laughing.
Look at that. You stand up and you stare at it. And
I squat over
you
it.
You hear what sounds like college kids saying, "Are you sure this is the right house?"
Oh, you hear that?
Yes.
Well, there's irrefutable proof.
Irrefutable.
Right there.
Move to the city, they said. Buy a home, they said.
Yeah, crumbling infrastructure, they said.
It's like a Georgetown undergrad.
Yes.
Oh my God,
Mike, or
you
a
professor,
or a professor.
Well,
wow.
It's funny because when you send it to the police, and I don't call 911, it's 311, and they give you a little
great band.
They deal with these ring cams all the time. Just like send it in. I have not received a response yet. I wonder why.
But you called and they said send it in.
Send it in.
And then you went through the process of sending it in. Was it difficult to do that?
No, it was easy. It was just embarrassing.
Well, the good news is Alfonso Ribeiro just awarded him $5,000.
We have to take a break. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we will. Speaking of cameras, tomorrow on the show, I'll tell you all about my my install. I got not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4,
5.
Yeah.
A fin.
Celebrity coverage.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, the password is mounting tape. We'll be right back.
Coming up on the Mike O'Mara Show tomorrow, the return of Nicky Diamond for Week 2 of the NFL. His Week 1 picks were fantastic. Will Week 2 bring him success? And will he continue to have luck with his electronic oracle? What? Tune in and find out tomorrow on the Mike O'Mara Show. More to come.
Now that Labor Day has passed, turn that up. I love that song. Now that it's passed and we're looking at autumn, it's a great time to chill. A little louder, please, and enjoy. Beautiful changing weather. Great time to spend less time in the kitchen more time having fun time with those people that you like spending time with.
It's instrumental, Mike. You can go all night.
Oh, it's an instrumental. Now through September 17th only. Freshly has a special deal. You can save $150 off your first 6 meals. All delicious, nutritious, and delivered right to your door. They're designed by nutritionists, prepared by chefs, and they fit your lifestyle. With plans tailored to every dietary preference, I love that they are delivered fresh, not frozen, and always taste dynamite. Oscar loves Freshly. He's loving the pork chili Colorado with slow slip. The pork. Turn this music off.
You know what?
You asked.
You asked for it. You're crazy. This man's crazy.
Crazy in the head. Pork chili Colorado with slow simmered black beans and rice. Yum.
Wonderful.
It is good.
Sorry. That's loving the pork chili Colorado with slow simmered black beans and rice. Yum.
How's the music level?
Back to it. Okay. Can you start at the beginning?
Yeah, of course.
All right, here we go. I'll just do that.
Get into the season with Freshly's post-Labor Day special and spend less time in the kitchen this fall. Now through September 17th, get $150 off your first 6 meals at freshly.com/TMOS. That's $150 off freshly.com/TMOS. Remember, freshly.com/TMOS for $150 off your first 6 orders if you order by September 17th. That is no doubt low-hanging fruit.
All right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you got to do the thing.
I forgot the thing. Let me bring it all the way. Thank you. Hit the town music.
Sound.
We call this stereophonic sound.
Sound Town.
Hey there, Mike. Are you familiar with a Boston suburb called Stowe?
Stowe.
Stowe is in Vermont, but there's one in Boston.
Yeah, Stowe, Massachusetts. They're in crisis over there because the Duncan Donuts is shut down.
I had a guy that was on the golf course. He will go nameless, and I was complaining about a various orthopedic injury that I had, or perhaps it was lack of sleep. I think it was I'd love to take. I think we were talking about melatonin, And this guy looked at me and said, "You need mother's little helper."
Oh, no.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Mike, but Duncan is from Boston.
Is it?
Yes.
Well, I think we agree.
They love their donuts up there.
It's not our favorite donut, although in Stowe they call it Dunks. They call it Dunks.
Yeah, because it's so scary popular.
And with the Dunkin' Donuts closing down, people are in an uproar.
There is no more Dunkin' Donuts in Stowe.
Absolutely none.
Yeah, it sucks. There's nothing fun to do, and Dunkin' Donuts was the one place where everyone likes to go.
Bummed out because I've been traveling further away to go to Dunkin' Donuts.
These days, you got to go around to Hudson, you got to go to Sudbury, got to leave the state. I mean, not the state. You got to leave Stowe, though.
Yeah, I'm sad. Sad for the people of Stowe.
You know, we have a Dunkin' Donuts in Leesburg. If it closed down, I'd have a parade.
I don't.
Well, there's a lady
Dunkin'.
here in the studio that's upset about it, right? You weren't happy they closed it. Well, what do you have to say?
There's no words.
Oh.
No words. No words.
I thought she'd have something to say, but she really
She's really. You have to leave the state, or at least Stowe.
Down here we have Chick-fil-A's. Those are
yes.
popular.
Yes.
And I have a studio audience today. I didn't even tell you that.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Jimmy, what do you see when you go to the local Chick-fil-A?
I see dead people.
Okay,
That's right.
Go ahead.
I'm glad Jimmy's there. Mike, the Texas Rangers, fine baseball organization.
Oh, great franchise.
But they
Absolutely.
might want to improve on focus a little bit. During last night's game, there's a player they have, Marcus Simeon, who forgot that he was up to bat next. And they caught it on television.
That's bad. Oh, that's lack of focus
now,
right there.
He did hit a double, to be fair. You'll hear that here.
When he finally came up?
Yeah, but they had a camera on him in the dugout when they announced his name, and his eyes really bulged out.
He's played the second most games of anyone over the last 2 seasons for, he forgot he was on deck.
That was amazing right there.
What a timely report, too. I mean, that is stunning.
My goodness.
They're talking about him.
Serious professional. There you go.
Hey, roll out of bed and hit a gapper. In fact, he's
Good
hustling for
announcer.
2. Here comes the throw. Not in time. That's a double. Hat tip, Marcus Simeon.
So he really,
that's great. Roll out of bed. I love announcers that get it. Professional broadcasters. That's awesome.
Okay, I would normally dislike this clip immediately out of the chute because Ryan Reynolds is a great publicity hog for his Aviator gin. However,
and his Mint, right? Isn't it Mint
Mobile?
Mobile?
Yeah,
Mint
exactly.
Mobile, yeah.
He got a colonoscopy live on the internet, and they actually found
The publicists got a hold of that one.
Oh, they were very
My
excited.
You've done the
God, that
same
was everywhere.
thing.
Yeah, but
I have. I've done
know better.
colonoscopy, colon awareness.
but he does have a mass, and they say that this colonoscopy.
I
could
thought he had just a polyp taken off.
Well, they did find a mass or a polyp. I don't know the
Well,
difference.
there's
between
a big difference,
Big
boy,
difference.
between a mass and a polyp.
Well, I'm not Catholic anymore, so I don't know. But anyway, apparently it saved his life, and he was so excited that he did mention gin.
I was able to find an
He's the doctor.
extremely subtle polyp, potentially life-saving for you. I'm not being overly dramatic. I mean,
love it.
You had no symptoms.
Yeah. Seriously, thank you for pushing me to do this. Can't believe you pumped all that aviation gin into my IV.
Okay, I gotta say,
Yes.
they're Hollywoodizing it.
Yes.
I've
You
had
still got to
polyps
get
removed.
checked. You got to get it checked.
You get checked. They snip. They do the snip. I've had them. I've had 50 of them snipped off of me.
And you have most
At
of
one
them,
time or
don't you?
another.
I mean, in a jar.
I have them in a little jelly bean jar.
Gross.
Yeah, shellacked.
I had one. I thought, what is this? Is not a Jelly Belly. This doesn't taste like buttered popcorn.
I have them. I have them in a beautiful container. Spared no expense.
Okay. Speaking of colonoscopies, Mike, Southern California, because of the heavy rain, is having a lot of mudslides.
Oh,
and this is some audio that a guy caught. You need to find this video because it looks almost like science fiction, the amount of mud that's flowing. It looks like lava, but it's mud. Just mud. It clears. It destroys a fence. It clears right
Are
through
you
it.
sure that wasn't audio from Ryan Reynolds' colonoscopy?
That was different mudslide.
That's actually a clip from one time in Manassas when I visited a little restaurant called Don Pablo's.
I remember you were laughing.
Yeah, I laughed when it happened. It's like, out of the way.
Okay. And speaking of mudslides again, for Michigan, this poor lady went and got a Subway sandwich, and she's accusing the restaurant of having feces on the wrapper of her sandwich. And Subway says it might be chocolate, but it's still being analyzed. Here she is.
One pretty easy way to find out.
Well, I think she has a pretty strong story here.
I went to Subway. I ordered a sub. Kind of weird interaction. Go into the parking lot to eat it, and I noticed that I'm like, oh, the parking lot just smells like sewage. I'm like, okay, so I had a bite, and I took it home to eat it there. I go and take a bite, look in the papers in between the two wrappers on the sandwich. There's feces. We're not sure if it's dog or if it's human.
A lot of that going around lately.
My God.
Yeah. Wow. Don't get double meat on that.
Oh, my God. Man, I tell you, I wonder if they were anywhere near your house.
Hey, Mike.
Oh, the sandwich fell. We still had to deliver it.
While we have you, could you do your Subway order in Spanish? I do love that.
Yes, lechuga, tomate, sal y pimienta, y... Oh, I forgot. Sal y pimienta, lechuga, tomate, and mayonesa.
Oh, mayonesa. Y mayonesa.
Mayonesa. Gracias. Yes. Mayonesa. Is that the last one? Was that the
That's perfect. That's a perfect end for me.
Okay, I was just checking. We'll be back tomorrow with a brand new episode when I will discuss how difficult it is when you have a home built out of blocks, because the little piggies built this house, and trying to put something in the wall. I don't want to, so I decided to put sticky stuff.
Open this door and let me in.
Yeah. Who had 3 times cameras falling off where they were.
No. Cameras, that's okay.
Rah.
They're very durable. It's good when you drop a camera.
No problem. Anyway, we'll be back tomorrow. Our thanks to Mike DiVicino. The book is Dear Joey, Letters from Prison, Book 1. Great talking to him. And I hope he says hi to Leah for us. We'll be back tomorrow with a brand new episode for Robb Spiewak and Oscar Santana. Mike O'Mara saying so long, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Want more? Make sure you check out the Mike O'Mara Bonus Show. Get it at MikeO'MaraShow.com.
Mike O'Mara, Radio Entertainment.
It's coming from the health sector. I just swallowed a bee.
There's no words. No words. No words.
Man. That's awful.